suffered a trauma at the hands of an EU team at Worlds last year. Will history repeat itself? And who will find redemption? Reckless or Uzi? Let's find out. It's time for Fnatic versus RNG.
Hell yes it is! Thank you, Shocks and the analyst desk, and thank you, Berlin, for putting your faith behind the LEC team. Now catching up with the draft, Kiana, Jarvan, Kale, followed by Pantheon, TF, Vega, and Spawn. Zaya and Rise first pick.
He's done it. He's locked in the traditional marksman throwing down in the bottom lane. This is going to be Uzi versus Reckless with the 80 carries.
We wondered if we could see the Garen Yuumi come back and try to dodge lane. We're not dodging, but the Vayne already hovered here by RNG. Always a thought process. Gonna just be the Ezreal. I thought if Garen Yuumi came out, we would see Vayne's Uzi's Vayne on the day. Not to be here, returning to the Ezreal he played earlier.
And previous to this tournament, Papa Smithy, I sat down and I said, if Uzi can average 12 CS a minute, RNG might possibly be the dark horse to win Worlds. And everyone said, no one's ever done it. You cannot farm that much. Well, right now, the man is just sucking in minions left, right, and center on the Ezreal, and is one of those champions that if you get it spiking early, it's so hard to deal with due to the mobility, and this is a very mobile comp from RNG.
And Fnatic's first round plays through bot lane very well. GP ult down there, Gragas Predator. Guys can do the math at home. Meanwhile, RNG have a lot of flexible options here with their first round of the draft. Fnatic do have their penchant to pick up unconventional picks, though. We saw the Veigar earlier. I still remember that with Rengar, anything can happen here from the Fnatic side.
And last year at Worlds, in a similar game, we said Fnatic, the way you beat IG is you just play around the mid lane. Do not go towards Rookie. He is too good. You don't want to be able to do that. Well, they ignored the rules. They got multiple members up there, and they smashed Rookie in the mid lane. Playing against RNG, you like never go bottom lane. That is the dark side of the map. Just play through your top side. Well, they say to hell with the conventional rule set. We're going to get a dive bottom lane composition going here. Once again, Fnatic trying to buck the trend, play towards the strength of their opponents.
Does RNG read this and now look to counterpick support with last pick? It's kind of my query here. They banned away the Rakan. If they hadn't, they could have just blinded Morgana and dealt with Rakan. So I'm really interested to see the approach they take.
Or is this finally the time we see that they play through topside? They empower Langex, you know, Shawel up there.
Yes,
in
the
top
elimination game where they don't play through Uzi.
Yeah, we'll see whether it happens, because that is the reason you put together a super team, to use all the pieces. This might be Longxing's game to try and take over.
Oh, we'll find out once the draft completes and we can see the first few moves. But with the blind pick, Gnar, I think your plan is out the window, although I do think it was a viable one. Papa Smithy, how does this draft round out for Fnatic?
Well, the real question here is where they go with the blind support, because you know that RNG are happy to play Carmen to Morgana, for example, and that's most likely going to be their decision if we do see the lock-in. We're still hovering, Garen, I assume, just for the reaction behind it. It's an elimination game. Comfort means more than comp sometimes when it's a best of one, literally to persist in Worlds. So Nemesis will be returning to his Cassiopeia. We are waiting for just the support choice. Speaking of comfort.
Oh! Hylissang Pyke outside of G2 Esports as a team. Hylissang was the guy to talk about with this champion.
And coming into Worlds, if you had have written down the perfect comp for Fnatic to be able to upset, I think at least 3 of the pieces would have been there. Gangplank, Cassiopeia, as well as the Pyke. This is the gauntlet thrown to RNG.
And the response being the Lulu. Now, one thing I will say, Hylissang giveth and Hylissang taketh. And we have seen him doing that even today with both previous Leona performances. So execution is going to be key, especially into a Lulu.
Now the counterpick support here is a very different one. Another unique champion at Worlds, I believe, in the Lulu. Leona would be the usual choice here because you just all in, and of course the Pyke doesn't get to use great health with any degree. Now you can reveal Pyke whenever he goes in with your E, and that of course usually allows you to take him down. He can't dodge away and get the same healing off, but the champion is not necessarily known as super dominant in lane, and it's unreliable in fights as well.
And one of the only champions in the game that saves people through additional health as opposed to shields. One of the only counters to Pyke's ult. It ignored shield. It will not ignore the health that Lulu is able to give the teammates.
Listen to the crowd in Berlin as they get behind Fnatic. This is a do-or-die game. Win and you are in the quarterfinals. Lose and your world championship ends today. RNG have never been eliminated at the group stage at the World Championship. Welcome back to the Verti Music Hall here in Berlin, Germany. The last game of the group between Fnatic and RNG, and just before the action picks up, we've already told you the win-loss between Fnatic and RNG, 1-9. You've heard the memes of EU in week 2, but I want to put it to some numbers. European teams in the second half of the group stage have a total win-loss of 13-4. RNG and the LPL teams, Fnatic RNG, 6-6.
And this is so important because in context of Worlds, when you look at just Worlds after Worlds, the last time the LPL truly failed was in Europe. It was in that 2015 very famous run where LGD fell down. EDG were a shadow of their former glory from MSI, and it was a lot of these European teams that was able to take it away.
And which region stopped the Golden Road from being walked down? It was Europe. It was G2 Esports that beat them in the quarterfinals of Worlds last year, keeping RNG, one of the top 5 favorites for Worlds, into the group stage by knocking them down here would be a big scalp for the side of Fnatic.
I cannot wait to see how this plays out, and I definitely want to dial into some of the options here. The Lulu in particular will be interesting when I think of that help picks, when I think of the initiation tools along with the Glitter Lance. Nah, Lee Sin, Rise, every single one of them is going to benefit from that skill set.
And it's one of those things where you are pretty confident Hylissang hasn't played against Lulu too much as the Pyke. Champion is very underappreciated, isn't played in solo queue a lot either. But the reveal, again, not allowing Pyke to be just as slippery and just as sustainable is underrated, and Spawn already outlined the health gain when it comes to Pyke ultimate calculations. Level 1, Whippo is actually stronger than Gnar because of the Q.
This is how you make a lane volatile. This is when, as Longxing, you have to start thinking, where the heck is this Gragas? Is he like three camping towards the top side of the map? Has he already based for his boots? And you can see that that is exactly where Whippo wants his top lane. This is the second time in a row he's got Gangplank. However, maybe selling the fake here as Broxah now turns his attention to bottom lane.
Okay, level 2's on the side. Hylissang won't find the stun. Ignite's thrown down to Ming. That's a gigantic minion wave to be fighting into. First blood to Fnatic. They turn their attention to Uzi, but again, gigantic minion wave to deal with them. Broxah strikes first.
And I do feel like you have to credit some of that towards Whippo as well, because how volatile he made the top lane would have given Uzi and Ming so much confidence that he was going up towards there. That meant that they were building the wave. They couldn't get it to hit turret. The gang succeeded.
Very common the Gragas to do a 3-camp clear bot side, but no back to get the boots, no keystone available here, no problem. They take down the Lulu for free. Do note that blue buff and actually just a single camp top side plus the Rift Scuttle was the sacrifice, so the level 6 will be delayed for Broxah.
Quick note, while Hylissang has played 19 games on Pyke, his win-loss is 15-4 all time. Karsa picks up the skull grab and finds Broxah.
But you already saw that was the Predator boot channeled. He wanted to have an impact on this top side of the map as well. However, counter jungling is a team game, Papa Smithy.
And the team game is to try to, again, pay back Broxah for his early gank by denying him first a blue buff and now a Scuttle Crab. It's a nice pickup here, gets Uzi a bit more mana, but also allows them to really keep down the Gragas even further.
And this is the thing you need against Gragas. He's so mobile for a fat man that you need to be able to scout him out on his cams. You see a very nice control ward on the back of that red buff. That means he's going to be caught on the approach and maybe some traps can be laid.
Definitely goes with Pilates classes, does Gragas. The mid lane, Nemesis is going to farm it out against Ryze. I feel like this is a matchup that has evolved a million times, but has always been Cassiopeia favorite to some degree. It's the percentages change, usually downwards, every rework.
Yeah, it was so strange, right? Because Ryze had a brief period where he could take Cassio to a side lane when Abyssal Mask was first reworked and go to town on it. However, then Cassiopeia players started building Abyssal Mask back, and Ryze kind of said that wasn't fair. And since then, you're right, Papa Smithy has certainly been one of those bully lanes, as few as they may occur, for the Ryze matchup.
Well, Broxah seems to be in the right place at the right time. First gank works out. He bumps into Casa in the top lane, or rather Casa interrupted it. And this time around, both junglers are waiting in the wing spawn.
And there is a big creep wave there, so this would be tough to execute if you are Fnatic. You can see Hook misses, so no gank gonna happen.
And the vision toggle exceptional by the observers. Casa's now going to step forward, places a ward down and spots out that fat man. Broxah gets the body block, and there's the dash forward, looking for the stun. So much damage onto Ming. Hylissang picks up the kill, but it's at the cost of his life. So far, trade 1 for 1. Here comes Nemesis, throws out the miasma, trying to put the twin fangs onto Xiaohu. He's burning, and he's down. Now Casa's the target. He's trying to show him back. The Sonic Wave misses. Fnatic get another, and Uzi is flashing for his life.
And in the camp bottom lane game, Fnatic come out ahead. 4 kills to 1 now, and their bottom lane is rolling.
And I don't think they'll be done either. This is all before Gangplank can even help out with his ultimate. We watch the replay. Casa is true the first time, but as the play goes on, Hylissang comes up big.
He's just so clutch, and that wave looks huge. It looks like such a dangerous area to fight. You can see that RNG are so confident to be able to take it, but it is mis-execution from Casa, a player that has come up so clutch in the past. Watch this Q, it goes wide, Nemesis lives, and Fnatic clean up.
And that means they trade up even more. Remember, since the last time we saw this matchup, as Hylissang's already mid, we're continuing.
He's hunting, he needs to get the CC! The interrupt lands, and Xiaohu goes down. Berlin is on fire, and so is Fnatic. 5 kills to 1.
At this point, they're styling, like you say, 6 kills in 6 minutes. They're keeping the pace high, and right now RNG just aren't ready for the 3-pronged attack in every single lane.
And some of the keys to victory. Get Nemesis on one of his comfort champions. Get Hilly roaming around Summoner's Rift. And already in the first 10 minutes, they have both been so much more apparent than what we've seen in Fnatic so far this Worlds.
It's a 1,000 gold lead, but what is crucial is it is Fnatic dictating the pace of this game. It is proactive plays. Now, it is by no means over. RNG have got a fantastic team to pick up action in the mid-game, and I want to see once Lungxing starts getting involved, now that Xiaohu's hit level 6 as well, once they start to bounce back from those early games.
And I want to see how they try and do it, because Lungxing right now is ahead, and it looks like Fnatic continue to look bottom.
All right, Uzi's got no flash available, chilling smite into the arcane shift, the barrel comes down. And keep in mind that Bwipo threw down the cannon barrage for that play. Keeping an eye on Nemesis, he roamed as well. So the play was thwarted.
And this was the evolution in the LPL's game when they went on that run last year. The ability to play macro. You know what? We're not going to try and repel the turret dive. We're going to back off. We're going to play for plates and CS on the top side. Now look at Xiaohu mirroring towards the top side of the map. They understand that Uzi is no longer the member to play around. They need to get creative.
The unique thing is they don't often actually send jungle resources top. They're much more likely to have Karsa counter gank bot lane than actually say, okay, enemy team set up a tent bot lane. We're going to play through top lane in the same fashion. You can go top and kick GB away from his turret and get advantages, but it's all bot lane.
It is indeed. Uzi's on to be in so much trouble. One more auto! And it's a trade. Uzi and Reckless pick up the respective kills, but the experience and the CS advantage goes to Reckless.
Yeah, once again, Reckless is the person that will live, and the wave is too big to freeze. Ming also needs the experience at this stage of the game. Level 6 not there. That was a big deciding factor in that 2v2.
But honestly, this game has opened up in the style that we anticipated pre-tournament. The fast style of G2 and Fnatic. The Fnatic style versus RNG, who likes to get their ducks in a row. The connection here, the root lands, and the 1 for 1, if Uzi's the one going down, you'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely you will. And the 2 waves now crash into that turret. You're going to see an additional recall gained here from Reckless. The fact that he is 2-0-3 now, that's going to be an Essence Reaver online at only 9 minutes into the game.
You just think of another game where Uzi farmed it out, had Triforce Mirror Mana, and Fnatic have no front line. You know, it's going to be an AP Gragas. Pyke also and GP aren't frontliners, so there was a game that was going to be Uzi defined. This one is going to be much more cheap build, but cheap build a little bit slower. And the chance that it's not going to make big inroads is Hylissang.
He's in some trouble. Sonic Wave won't find a target. Hylissang 1, 2, and 4, just shy of 100% kill participation. I held my breath. Hylissang is shaking off that moniker of being a coin flip player. He has had games that have cost him, but he's playing so confidently and throwing down that flash to connect with the stun.
Mate, he still flipped the coin this game. It just came up Hylissang for once in
But
this
wasn't
tournament.
he overdue for that?
Absolutely. I mean, you got to be right every now and again, and that's what I like about Hilly, the fact to stick to the game plan. That he knows for Fnatic to go far in this World Championship, he needs to play the high-octane, aggressive style, but he needs to also make it well.
And I'm looking at RNG and saying, attack Whippo, make him use summoners, get him down. Otherwise, if Fnatic just plays this game, every time Cannon Barrage comes up on the bot lane, they're going to have more tools. They're going to win more often than they lose. Kosh is here, and for once, Gragas probably going to be spotted on a ward. They know he's disconnected.
Okay, so Cannon Barrage is available for Bwipo in a few seconds, and Broxa is going to be followed by Nemesis. Bone Skewer goes out, and no target connects, but everybody held their breath. It's a 1,500 gold lead for Fnatic, and they are not letting off the gas yet.
And you do have to remember there are two ways to attack the top lane. You can either gank for it or you can isolate it. And right now in the isolated matchup, Longxing is starting to put in some work. You can see repetitively trying to chip down this health bar, get turret plates. I don't think it's going to be enough. Right now, Fnatic certainly playing better towards the bottom side, but they are doing what they can to get their top laner ahead.
And it's unlikely you'll go a Gnar build that actually gives you kill pressure in the lane. Like we've seen in the past, people like Juve go Blade into a rapid fire cannon, maybe even throw in an Infinity Edge there, really try to attack the side lane. Longxing has been our most impressive team fight Gnar in previous appearances at this tournament, so we expect maybe one damage item into tank, and that's the sort of thing that eventually GP can start to shrug off.
We need to see whether or not RNG can find those team fights. I keep looking at that gold lead. It is stabilizing at 1,500 gold. And as you mentioned, Longxing, 2 of those plates already down. He's bullying Bwipo, 14 CS advantage already. And he's looking to set up or looking to react to plays elsewhere on the map.
And in the early game, it's not worthwhile playing towards top side. There is no objective. Dragons are too valuable. It's easy to knock down the plates on the bottom side. However, we're now at 12 minutes into this game, and you can see the Fnatic are starting to get slightly antsy around the Rift Herald. It would be key right now if RNG were able to pick that up, get 2 plates into Uzi, all of a sudden, all your hard work starts to equalize. So I would expect Fnatic to want to play around that objective. I do not expect a handshake, although that looks like what we're getting right now.
Xin already started up and got it low. Ming helping with ranged auto attacks over the wall. Trade actually probably will be Drake for Herald here. Not an ideal one for the side of Fnatic, but they're too slow, and I feel like the LEC region has been the least likely to handshake compared to other global trends. Korea and North America definitely do end up forcing the fight more often than not.
Now, if you look at the minimap, Bwipo is under threat. 3 members of RNG in that top quadrant, but Casa decides to back away to his own jungle instead. This is going to be a split map, it looks like. I hear the Herald being summoned up top.
But this is very confusing from Fnatic. They're the team that has the teleports available, and yet multiple members down on this bottom side. They are still trading gold, but when you're ahead, you don't want to trade, you want to extend leads.
They are able to extend the lead specifically on the Xayah because she's not sharing plate gold like the Lulu. She's probably trying to accelerate towards an Ardent Sensor, you will imagine. Turret should still go down here. Wait and see if Reckless feels safe enough, and Roxa zoning around mid lane, so 2 lanes of turrets for the side of Fnatic.
So that's a great move from Fnatic. You know, make it about the majority of the map as opposed to just those bottom and top lane turrets that you're trading. They now get themselves more plates. That's more of the move that we want to see from Fnatic.
Yeah, with the GP ult, you're able to respond to multiple lane plays. In this case, he doesn't have enough information, so just drop the Cannon Barrage. On the minions, we know that was unnecessary, but that information wasn't available to Bwipo. Hylissang face checks.
He does indeed. Sonic Wave has found its target. Bone Skewer is channeled. And it does find a target, but there's no further follow-up. Miasma held by Nemesis. 2,000 gold lead and the mountain to Fnatic, and the map is now being opened up. If the skirmish style of gameplay continues, then Fnatic could be pretty happy. Hylissang likes to roam, he likes to impact those other lanes, And as it stands, Hilly and Reckless are pushing down mid.
And they certainly have the composition for mid-game roaming and creating 2v2s and 3v3s. You know, you're going to struggle to get there before the Moby Boot pikes, and the safety of the Xayah is very high. She just has that oh crap button that she can hit if she is ever caught out. So I do like the next 10 minutes of time for Fnatic. However, it is going to be about getting as much gold as possible on this Ryze, on this Ezreal, and trying to get towards some semblance of Baron control and fight for RNG.
Small lead in the turret play gold is going to be indicated here, as we would have noted. I feel like we're already on the precipice of all the outer turrets being down nice and early into the game. When that happens, you do fear for someone like a Lulu trying to walk up to face check and go down very quickly. But now Karsa plays a bit of hopscotch, gets himself an angle in the mid lane. Remember that Reckless is the big benefactor of this early game, even in terms of actual items in the inventory rather than gold picked up. He is ahead of the Ezreal, but look at that health bar.
Take a look at that damage coming down. Hylissang forced to run for his life, and this will allow a lot of damage into the mid-outer turret.
And you can see how serious this game is because they don't chase. Now they're just looking for the siege. They're trying to zone members away. That is one chunk, and it takes half the mid turret's health. That turret going to be crucial for any future Baron setup.
I think so important to note, Reckless did not expend his ultimate or his flash. Teleports back to lane, got the Zeal, the Kershi shot, and the Essence Weaver. Uzi on the flip side, mana immune, and still working towards that Triforce. So, comfortable position for Fnatic for now.
And he's completely set for business. This is what he wants to be doing. We talk about the through damage of the Xayah and the ability to generate push in the mid lane. The longer this is happening for, the easier it becomes for Fnatic to look for the roams into the river, look for the control that will generate their picks.
The only frustration is that back wasn't an entire rapid fire cannon, so you don't continue to extend your effective gold lead in terms of purchased items, and you need another back in order to match something like the Trinity Force that should be coming out soon. But just with the map uptime, they will get mid lane outer turret and give themselves some more avenues for picks.
I love seeing how Hylissang is playing on this bike. He's charging up that bone skewer and stepping forward. It reminds me of Ming on day one of groups where he was playing the Blitzcrank, stepping forward, threatening the pick, because the amount of damage that will follow up will almost guarantee a kill. It unlocks the second tower for Fnatic.
But I'm not an expert on lore, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Pyke has gone fishing in the past, and it actually ruined a little bit of his life. Now, I'm not trying to draw anything from that piece of information. However, you do have to be careful what you catch. You don't want to Mega Gnar in this composition. However, I do like the fact that Fnatic continue to do what they do well. You were mentioning the lack of the completed item. Well, mid lane priority means you can cheat bases whenever you would like. They go back on the power spike. They're setting up for the next dragon. It's 40 seconds away. Another chance to create one of those skirmishes.
With no front line, how can they actually put a dagger through the heart? A Baron is usually something that represents that. Actually getting deep vision down is tricky without multiple members and a Predator. Mountain Drake spawning in 30 would be a nice spot, and that's why we do see the Predator popped to try to get that exclusive vision on Mountain.
And that's the thing about League of Legends. The best form of initiation is superior vision control. If you can come from multiple angles with damage, it doesn't matter. You will always get the fight you're looking for. RNG will step up to the plate. They will fight you. They are not a team to be bled out. So you can see all the Fnatic's resources right now getting control around this side of the map.
It does seem to set them up for the Mountain Drake thus far. Karsa will be very late to the party. He instead is trying to set some vision up in the northern side of the river. And as it stands now, Nemesis backs away. Uncontested second Mountain Drake. Comboed that buff with GP, Cassio, and Xayah. There's a very, very fast Baron on the side of Fnatic.
And that's something that you just have to be heads up about. Suddenly, Cassiopeia with blue buff and topside vision control is something that RNG can't allow. They have to continue to fight more than just against another comp, because this comp deletes Baron on site and can duo it in a lot of configurations.
I was just going to say, could Broxah and Nemesis two-man the Baron if they have enough vision? And as it stands, it'll be tough, right?
Yeah, especially because it's going to be an AP Gragas, right?
Yeah.
So he can't tank it for a very long time, but 3 people can kill it, and it doesn't require it to be the 3 most obvious high damage members. Is something to consider. If you get the top lane out of turret, it only helps with the Baron setup.
And I just want to cast our mind back to the fact that Uzi at 17 minutes was 2 completed items in his previous game with the upgrade. This time around, he's 20 CS down. He's down in kills. He hasn't been getting the same resources that he would love in this composition. And it's actually Fnatic with all of the CS leads.
And it goes all the way back to not only the draft of the first pick Xayah and the last rotation Pyke. but Broxer coming in with that level 3 gank, setting his duo lane up to go toe-to-toe with Uzi and Ming. 4 towers to 1, it will be balanced out now, 4 towers to 2. But the LEC representative have a significant lead as we hit the 20-minute mark.
It just feels like an old habits die hard game from Fnatic. They have in just a couple of days reset themselves from Reckless is on a champion that neutralizes or has a utility style, and the side laners will carry. They noted all the AD Twisted Fate bans, they couldn't recreate on other champions, and now suddenly it's back to Reckless picking up a lot of the advantage here. But the impressive part there is not that Reckless can play a ranged AD carry, it's that all the pieces around Reckless seamlessly transition back into old roles.
But this is what we would expect from an organization like Fnatic. Coming into this Worlds, they had taken G2 to 5 games in back-to-back best-of-5s. You could see the hype building around this organization. So that versatility is going to be key, and it certainly seems to be there for this game.
Now put yourselves into RNG shoes. 2018 World Championship, one of the favorites for the entire thing, eliminated by a European team in the form of G2 Esports. RNG have never not made it out of groups, and they are down 4,000 gold to another European representative on European soil. And we said it earlier this time, the last time LPL had such a disappointing showing was also at a European World Championship.
And we're getting some European Drakes, because Double Mountain into Infernal very much suits the European representative in Fnatic to give them, again, Baron threat with less members, because right now, you walk up to Baron, no one's tanky, and the enemy initiates on you, that's going to be a little bit of a problem.
And on a personal call out, while it's the Drakes they wanted, it's not the Drakes they got during
those Drakes are working
the
out.
Season. LEC advert fans, that's a shout out for you. Casa is moving into the pit. Do Fnatic 50-50 this. Baron will reset, and that's what we talked about. Cassio plus Gragas were able to almost melt it before a response.
Yeah, the almost is there. Casa was aware of the play, but again and again that can be threatened. Lungxing from an angle, but no real follow-up to a flash play here. He's still positioning.
Certainly is, and if there was a wave there, you could see he wanted to go. However, very good job of Fnatic checking the boxes. How many people are visible on map? Let's back away from this turret. We have push in the top lane. We're getting important resources onto Bwipo in the bottom lane. We are about to come online. Let's not do anything too hasty.
Let's actually zoom out and talk about Bwipo and Lungxing, because frankly, they've not existed for 20 minutes of this game. They are still 0-0-0, farming up a storm. Maybe we won't get a chance actually as Hylissang gets chunked out. True Shot Barrage will be available very, very soon. Baron's going low. Doesn't even go in the pit. Fnatic have snuck the Baron. Cassio plus Double Mountain gives Fnatic the lead.
And that was just off the back of the fact that they knew that Casa had gone to base, so they're able to pick up the most important objective in their game at only 22 minutes in.
And that's all about the combat problem solving we've talked about. That was the only variable. They didn't care at all that there was a vision ward there from the side of RNG. They had all the critical information. They pulled the right trigger. Looked like it was pretty close on the smite. Well, close is good enough.
And I know we're half joking about it, but EU in week 2, look at what's happened so far. You've got Splice out of group. G2 have been able to squeak out as well, and now Fnatic looking to join the other 2 representatives. 23 minutes in, they have complete control of the game.
For the first time ever, Europe is on the verge of having all 3 representatives advancing to the quarterfinals in a World Championship on home soil, after Splice were discounted as the weaker younger brother to Fnatic and G2, after Garen and Yuumi sucked on stage, and Fnatic have bounced back. They need to knock over this Nexus, but this would be a historic week in League of Legends for Europe and European fans.
And I think there's still a lot of work to do here, Trevor. We still have to see that first team fight with the Gnar potentially coming in and influencing it. Very easy to catch out one of these squishy members on the side of Fnatic. But so far, it's a very impressive 23 minutes, and they're knocking on the door.
And you can see that they never actually have to go for it, because a wave clear out of something like a Rise, especially against Baron, is not going to be that strong, and you can play multiple lanes. I said it already today. This is how Europe loves to play League of Legends. The 1-3-1, the frustrated, the pull you apart and take more gold. Right now, every minute that they exist on Summoner's Rift, Fnatic is picking up more CS, more experience, and ultimately more items. When it finally does come to the fight, I expect them to have a massive lead.
You can't ask for anything more than 24 minutes into this deciding game. Yes, there's an advantage to the underdog, but the game isn't written. And this is a game between, again, two of the most famous orgs in the history of League of Legends. Everybody around the world, whether you be in Korea, China, North America, Europe, or anywhere else, has an opinion on who they would prefer to win. I'm sure the North Americans, who are now sitting with no qualifiers out of 2, are very much in split allegiance. So it's that kind of game where you know the world is watching, and there could still be a super play to decide it all.
With an all-time win-loss of 1-9, Fnatic were the underdogs, but look at the minimap. They are pushing 1-3-1. Karsa gets tagged down. The daggers. Karsa runs for his life, and Whippo with the cannon barrage gets the kill. Let the feathers fly. Reckless as Fnatic and the rest of the crew are pushing into the base. Langxing has gone mega gnar, but there's no fight available for him.
It seems that Langxing will be exhausted before the fight starts, but no minion wave to break the base. That's the last piece of business here. Karsa, 15 seconds away.
And it's actually Hilly, the most annoying member on the team, hold the thought, that is keeping the bottom lane barrened up minion wave. And you can see this 3-man siege in the mid lane might take the turret.
Well, the RNG representatives from the LPL are in so much pressure. Baron will time out right now. Nemesis unable to do more than just a little damage in that top lane. The base has not been broken, and that is crucial for RNG. They are down 8,000 gold, and they need to find a way back into this game.
But do you know what else was crucial for RNG? The ability for Karsa to fish for one of his patented flash kicks. However, that is no longer available. He had to burn the summoner spell. He still fell down, and in 2 minutes, that Baron pressure will resume.
And he's not going to be the only one feeling doubt on the RNG side. They lost straight-up team fights in the late game to SKT earlier today. Uzi's behind in effective items to Reckless, who has been sitting on Infinity Edge for a while. In terms of tool sets here, everything is set up for Fnatic, but RNG have pulled a rabbit out of a hat many a time.
Yeah, they were looking for a rabbit out of that top lane hat and weren't able to find one just a moment ago. And itemization, though, you cannot discount the members of RNG. 3 items for Uzi, 2.5 for Xiaohu on that rise. There is a lot of headroom to grow as far as scaling is concerned. And for Fnatic, they cannot lose focus at all.
And when you don't have tanks, all the extra damage item means is you kill them slightly quicker. It's going to be an auto attack or 2. So still the burden of execution on Fnatic's comp is going to be high. But all it takes is that 1 kill, that snowball to start rolling, for Hylissang to start jumping around these fights, and they will be able to create the chaos. Let's see if RNG have the discipline to withstand that.
Okay, gentlemen, 1 minute to Infernal, 1 minute to Baron. Let's look at Vision. Let's talk about how Fnatic want to play, considering both objectives will be available at the same time.
They just want to get control of their side lanes. They know that they're going to continue to build the lead and that they should have first move. If you control the side lanes, you always have the option to collapse, but more importantly, you can continue to bleed RNG out.
And they're probably going to need to use tools like Realm Warp and also the speed up from the Whimsy to skip steps, because they really aren't going to be able to walk up and contest Vision on things like Baron. Yes, we do see that Ming got a ward in now, but that's going to be the exception rather than the rule. Again, that's how you're hamstrung if you go for a ranged support rather than one of the tank supports. The map's still very much in the control of Fnatic. Probably going to take the easy objective and get an uncontested Infernal.
And that is such a value Infernal, Drake. You have 5 damage sources coming out of this Fnatic lineup. Now you've got the second Infernal as well. Everyone on this lineup benefits from this Dragon.
2 Mountains, 2 Infernals, nearly 10,000 gold up. Baron has just spawned, and Karsa and Xiaohu are looking for a play. Hylissang is going fishing. Where's the Bone Skewer? Langxing, forced to hop to safety, will not get caught.
They're looking for a pick of destiny, a kick of destiny, whatever it is in this particular game on both sides. Even one person going down as we crest on 30 minutes. Going to be enough for a base to be broken, a Baron to be taken. Karsa might have to be the hero here.
I was holding my breath. Reckless takes a lot of damage. Uzi Arcane shifts forward. Minion waves have been caught, have been killed, and have been sent back. although Fnatic continue to extend this lead, they have not yet crucially broken open the base, and with this map reset, it's giving RNG some time to set up some vision around Baron.
Without Baron, it's hard because they can't just walk up to a turret or put 5 in a lane and actually get real turret damage in. That is the sort of thing where playing 3 lanes gets much trickier when we're talking about inhibitor turrets. RNG finally gets some control on the Baron. Hylissang walks up. We're going to do this dance again.
We are indeed. Bone Skewer is being charged, and while it will tag Karsa, there's not much follow-up after. Miasma comes down. Lungxing is about to go mega. Teleport's coming in. Bwipo's going to be on the front lines. Lungxing's got flash available to him. Does he want to use it? Defensively, actually. And now all of a sudden, Fnatic, they fought their way into the river, and they are looking for Baron control.
However, crucially, RNG just got the teleport out of Bwipo as well as the ultimate. 2 important tools to be able to set up around this objective. Lungxing, no flash as well. That's another crucial cooldown to track. Baron is started.
It's going to explode as well.
Karsa gets caught out by Hylissang. He throws down the Dragon's Rage. Baron has been melted. And all of a sudden, flash! Skewer! Uzi gets over the wall thanks to the Arcane Shift. Broxah has got himself the ultimate cask available, but he holds the trigger. Fnatic find a clean Baron.
And an 11,000 gold lead. It is starting to look insurmountable. Baron buff number 2, as well as the fact that they've got 2 mountains, 2 infernals, and so many more items.
And smartly, they're sending Hylissang to use his proc on this turret and try to get 2 inhibitor turrets at the same time.
Exceptionally well done. Turret number 1 falls. Turret number 2 falls. Berlin, do you believe in euphoria? Fnatic are on the cusp of making history. RNG are so close to being eliminated, and Fnatic are playing this as cautiously as possible.
But they're also playing it smart. Hilly in the top lane is impossible for anyone to catch. He's nearly knocked down that inhibitor, and they're going to look to just break open the base and reset.
1 inhibitor, 2 inhibitors, 12,000 gold is the lead. And Fnatic can taste the paella, can taste the jamon. They are looking at Madrid and a spot in the quarterfinals.
And you wouldn't want it any other way. Look at how they've been able to break down this RNG lineup. It's now 13,000 gold, and this is the systematic destruction of RNG. This is a team that people had pegged as a dark horse in the finals, and it looked like they might not even make it out of group.
And their system was broken from the start. All the relentless aggression, 5, 6 ganks towards the bot lane, has delayed Uzi on the Ezreal, and this is not the champion with a Vayne-like late game to try to bring it back. He wants to be playing from ahead. He's been on the back foot as Fnatic want that last inhibitor.
And you cannot give up all 3. You must go now if you are RNG. But look, they continue to play for them. Hilly is hitting the Nexus turrets.
Hylissang is solo pushing the top lane. The Nexus turret is about to fall. Listen to that crowd as Fnatic re-engage in the bottom lane. Hilly's been zoned away.
But he's drawing both the Gnar and the Rise, the frontliners from the comp of RNG, every time he walks up. We've seen this play on the domestic stage, working on the international one.
Cannon Barrage comes down, Karsa throws out the Dragon's Rage kick, but it does nothing. Realm Warp comes in, that's an interrupt on Lungxing. He's dead, Karsa's dead, RNG are done. They will not advance to the quarterfinals for the first time ever. All 3 European teams make it to the knockout stage. Fnatic eliminates RNG.
And Reckless finally overcomes his demons, takes down Uzi, and takes his team to the quarterfinals.
The LEC era begun this year, and all 3 LEC teams exit groups, all with different claims to fame and stories to tell. Big, big result for Europe on home soil.
As one of the LEC casters, to see how this team has bounced back, I cannot wait to see every single language stream, to hear Ibai chanting, to see Chips and Noir celebrating. With Madrid and Paris, every LEC team is there. And it's quite hard to believe.
And you have to mention, this is a team that was in the World Final last year, that went through everything, but then had to rebuild, and to successfully do so is so amazing.
Emotions hitting two of the greatest AD carries of all time. Uzi stepping away in the group stage for the first time. Reckless overcome with emotion. They would have heard the community feedback on their losses early in this tournament, and to reset and prosper in the way they did today shows the heart of true competitors.
Hearing Berlin chant Reckless's name, as I believe he will be joining us for an interview momentarily, is heartwarming and uplifting. Gigantic smiles across the faces of the second seed out of Europe. And of course, spare a thought for RNG. For the first time ever, they do not advance. For the first time ever, after being seeded into the group of death, they are not one of the players to come out alive.
And especially spare a thought for Uzi. This guy, I'm sure, is going to exit Worlds leading majority of stat categories for his role. However, you have to say that this game plan that Fnatic were able to put together, and then more importantly, execute, is just so damn impressive.
I know Uzi will be back, but even with the most stacked roster RNG ever had, it's not an acceptable finish. It's not okay just to finish in groups for RNG.
Thank you so much for